Hello again. Uh, One of my favorite things about modern technology and kind of who I am and who my friends are, is that I'm able to continue having really cool conversations through text while I'm sitting on the toilet or doing the dishes and in between, where musical Zeus can pose an issue or a question or something to me, and I can take a moment to have a more intelligent thought other than the on the spot conversation in the podcast where I feel like I sound like an idiot. We'll go with that. Good. But one of the conversations we're continuing to have is about capitalism, effort, competition versus cooperation, where I was pointing out, I'm going to give my perspective, I was pointing out that nature is competition, and that's how we got here. But nature is also harsh, blind, and goalless. Nature doesn't have a goal in mind. It just, the things in it compete and kill each other and eat each other, and it doesn't care. So if you want a society based on competition, capitalism, essentially, well, then that to me that's an indication of a goalless society. It's a society that doesn't care. Humans, the way we were able to overcome nature and become the top predator, is our inner cooperation. But at the same time, we have competition with each other. Now that at the moment, sort of, we're dealing with repercussions, but there's also competition between primate groups. So there's always competition, but competition is always fighting against itself. And the way that a group survives, or the way that primates in groups survived, wasn't competition, it was cooperation. So there's that. The other thing that I was thinking about in my head as we're having these conversations, I got into the analogy, or in my head, I like to try and put it in different analogies of where we are, is the idea of a fungus or a mold in a petri dish. You see those experiments, petri dishes, where they tap some stuff in there and then it grows. And in the petri dish, there's a medium of resources, nutrients, resources. And we measure how different funguses grow, what paths and techniques they use to grow faster or slower or stronger or whatever. And I feel like, or what it seems to be that we're arguing about, is what's the best way to grow the fastest and the strongest. And we're doing it with competition, capitalism, the reality of what's going on, and only now realizing that we're running out of resources. There's only a certain amount that we can eat before we start eating each other. The petri dish is a closed system unless we get off the planet, and then we can eat other resources. But the other analogy that popped into my head when I was thinking about just getting out of the petri dish is that if you have the technology to get off the planet, then other primates, other competition has the technology to stop you. The crab in a bucket. Crabs in a bucket. If you have one crab in the bucket, it can't get out, or it can get out because it can reach up and pull itself out. But if you have two crabs in a bucket, as one reaches up, the other one reaches up to grab it, to take advantage of it, and pulls it down. And they end up just pulling each other down, and so they can't get out of the bucket together. And so I'm maybe just flights of fantasy, but it feels like we're in the petri dish right now, and we are arguing about the best way to fill up the petri dish and use the resources, when ultimately we're going to probably use them. The way we're going now, we're going to use them all up. and because of competition and because of just the nature of reality and life, I guess, competition is going to end that. And it made me wonder if that is not the great filter. The reason we don't see so many other, and other people have said this too, the reason we don't see other aliens or a whole bunch of aliens out in the universe is because there's something about technology